Hello, and welcome back to Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I'm coming at you from the 256. Today is Friday, so you know that means college football picks with David Mize, so let's go ahead and get to those picks. All right, so we're back with David, as always, for Friday picks. You get a bye week this week down there at the museum, don't you?
Yeah. Of course, during the season, there's really no such thing as a bye week,
Mm-hmm.
and especially when you're going, into the LSU week,
Yeah.
it's just more people wanting stuff because they got a little bit more time to put things together.
Yeah. Well, you'll still have that 2 o'clock on Friday, the day before the game,
Oh
like
yeah, oh
always.
yeah, oh yeah. That's coming too. That's
Oh,
coming
can you
too.
send us 30 minutes of footage?
Yeah. Exactly.
But anyway, shoot. Let me get back here. Do. We picked every game the same way last week.
Right.
So, uh, we were 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. We were both 4-0 there, 5-0, 6-0, 6-1, 6-2, and 7-2. So we went 7-2 last week. That puts you at 45 and 27. And that puts me at 42 and 30, or 30. Yeah, 42 and 30. So you still got a 3-game lead on me going into this week. Hopefully we're thinking a little different, so we'll pick different this week, so I can take my rightful lead back
I got you.
from
I
you.
got you.
But anyway, we'll just go ahead and get with the first of 10 games. We're picking 10 games this week. So the first game that I have on here, number 2 Clemson at Florida State, 11 a.m. Central, ABC. Florida State is minus 17. I mean, Clemson's minus 17. Excuse me. Clemson's minus 17.
This is one of those games that you look at the first of the year and you go, man, this is going to really define these teams and going to be a great game. This is not going to be a great game. This is going to be just a bloodbath. It's going to be Clemson. Not even close.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's even 17. I was expecting probably 3 scores, or you know what I mean, 3 touchdowns. I'm surprised it's that close. Florida State's got a lot of figuring out to do. A lot more is expected out of them, obviously, this year, but it's
Right.
not that game's not going to be what it's been the last several years. Or
I said all along, people kept saying, why in the world did Jimbo Fisher leave Florida State? Well,
felt it coming.
yeah, it was coming. His recruiting down there just uh, hadn't been what he's doing at Texas A&M. So it was coming.
It was good, but you could just feel it. Clemson, I'm Clemson with you there too. I think they win rather easily tomorrow morning. Second game on here, you got number 20 Wisconsin at Northwestern, 11 a.m. on Fox. Wisconsin's minus 4.5 point favorite at Northwestern. We saw Northwestern give Michigan a lot of trouble a few weeks ago, but what are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking Wisconsin. They've had some injuries, and sounds like we're going to have they're going to have some of those guys coming back, and they'll be a little bit more at full strength than they have been the last couple of weeks. So, maybe we can see the Wisconsin. I think a lot of people were thinking, earlier in the season. So I'm going with Wisconsin on that.
I think Northwestern gives them a fight for 2.5, 3/4, but Northwestern that is. But I think Wisconsin pulls it out. 7 by 7. They play that really ground and pound, slow game style. So I see Wisconsin winning, but not necessarily blowing them out. 7-point game, something like that. But I'm with you there with Wisconsin. Game number 3, you got number 9 Florida. This is definitely the game of the weekend here. You got number 9 Florida versus number 7 Georgia in Jacksonville, Florida. 2:30 p.m. on CBS. Georgia is minus 6.5. They're 6.5 point favorite.
The world's largest cocktail party, and everybody's talking about how this game hasn't been that good in recent years. Well, it's going to be a good one Saturday, and I think it's going to be back where it was. This is the beginning of it getting back to where it was. Saying that, I think it's the beginning of Florida getting back where they were, and I don't think they're quite there yet, and I see Georgia pulling this out.
It's gonna be close. And last time we saw Georgia, they got ran off the field by LSU. Florida, they're really coming on strong now. 6.5 is a lot for me in that game. I'm expecting a 3-point game, but I'm going with the Gators to get it done this time. To give that really puts the keys in the ignition for Kentucky. They just got to turn them by taking out Georgia. Because if they lose to Georgia, then it's obviously Florida in the driver's seat. But I think Florida, I like the way they're playing right now compared to Georgia. Georgia was just manhandled. A lot of things were exposed about them, especially with the offense against LSU. And I'm going with the Gators in the upset. I would say a mild upset because they're just so close together. Florida's got one of the best defenses in the nation, especially causing turnovers, and I think that may be the difference. But I've got Florida by 3, probably 24-21, 20-17. Really close game, classic SEC football game. But I've got the Gators winning that game over Georgia. The next one, you got another top 25 matchup. Game number 4, number 18 Iowa at number 17 Penn State, 2:30 p.m. ESPN. Penn State is a 6-point favorite, -6.
Penn State's had some struggles, but I think that they'll come out victorious against Iowa. Iowa's looked good, but they haven't defeated a ranked team this year. So I'm really going to go with Penn State at this on this game, especially it being at home.
The only ranked team they played was Wisconsin at home, and they took the loss. Penn State has been so, the world of ups and downs, especially against Ohio State. They had that game won in the back pocket and lost it, and then turn around and lose to Michigan State at home. I think Iowa. I think they improved to 7-1 though. I like Iowa on the road. They play a boring brand of football, you could say. Nobody really cares or talks about them or watches them, but they win football games, and that's all that really matters. With Kurt Ferentz there, they've always seemed to win football games, even though nobody talks about them or pays attention to them. But I'll take the Hawkeyes to take down the Nittany Lions on Saturday tomorrow. Game 5, you got number 21, the South Florida Bulls at Houston, at 6-1 Houston, 2:30 p.m. ABC. It'll be on ABC or ESPN. I think that depends on where you're at in the country. But Houston is the 7.5-point favorite.
I think this is another one of those games that South Florida is just not getting the credit that they deserve. I think Charlie Strong's done a tremendous job down there. So much so that I almost wonder with the struggles that Louisville has had and the fact that they like to rehire their old coaches, if maybe Petrino's out and Strong is back in. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out at the end of the year. But I'm going to go with South Florida on this. I really like what they're doing down there.
Yeah, South Florida, they played some close games here lately, especially against teams they shouldn't even be close with. But Blake Barnett, who at one time was the quarterback for that team we cheer on every weekend, he's done a really good job at South Florida so far this season. Has really found his place. Houston, they just always seem to be ever since Herman and even Kevin Sumlin, they've just seemed to be a decent program or a good program, and they've got a top 5 pick in Ed Oliver on the defensive line. But I think South Florida, I'll go with you here. I think South Florida finds a way to just pull this one out just barely again, because Houston's a good football team. And like I said, they have one of the top 5 picks in the NFL draft next year on the defensive line. But I'm going South Florida. The South Florida Bulls to win that game. Barely. Really close over Houston. Next one. This one will be one where you can talk about respect as well. Number 6, or the 6th game on the list. Number 12, Kentucky at Missouri. 3 o'clock on the SEC Network. Missouri's a 7-point favorite over number 12 Kentucky at home.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Again, you talking about not getting any respect. Kentucky's not getting any.
They're the most disrespected, in my opinion.
Well, and part of that is everybody's waiting for Kentucky to become Kentucky again
and fall apart. Yeah,
and as the pressure mounts, that's usually when Kentucky does when it comes to football. But I'm going to go with the Wildcats. I think they will beat Missouri, and we'll still keep marching towards maybe Atlanta.
Yeah, they need They need that barrier with Florida's help or Georgia's help, one way or the other. But um, like I said, they've got the keys in ignition. They just got to turn them just win their games from here on out,
Yep.
and hope that Florida beats Georgia. Well, if they beat Georgia, it don't matter anyway. But yeah, Missouri, Kentucky's got a good defense. We've seen what a good stout defense can do against Missouri. Just see the Alabama game. After that quick start, Missouri was shut down. They didn't score any more points the rest of the game. Kentucky, that's what they play on, defense and a running game. They don't have a passing game still, which is going to be an extreme problem going down the road, like I've said. But they've still only got one loss, an overtime loss to another team in the top 20 right now, A&M. -7 to Missouri just because they're playing at home. I think that's just a slap in the face to Kentucky, and I think Kentucky, although I do expect it to be a little closer, like last week, it took them to the fourth quarter to beat Vanderbilt. But the Wildcats, I'm going Wildcats over the Tigers. I just think it's at this point, at some point, they've got to get some respect.
Yeah.
And I'm going Wildcats with you. The seventh game, this is another one that's kind of surprising, but it's all because of who's playing at home. But seventh game on the list here, you got number 14, Washington State, after their huge win after they beat down Oregon last week, at number 24, Stanford, 6 o'clock on the Pac-12 network. I don't see how a big network didn't pick that one up, but it's on the Pac-12 channel. Stanford is -3. They're a 3-point favorite at home over the Cougars.
Yeah, I don't understand that really. I've been kind of impressed with what Washington State's been managed to put together so far this season, and I don't see Stanford being in their way.
Stanford's been way too up and down. Stanford's been way too up and down at this point. They just got back in the rankings. Washington State, after last week, they really flexed that they may be the class of the Pac-12. So I'm going Cougars as well. I get the odds makers they know a little more, it seems like sometimes, but they do those odds for a reason. But Washington State on the road, I think they win by 10, 7 to 10 points. But I'm going Cougars as well. Game 8 of 10 here. You got another one that's kind of a head scratcher here. You got number 16, Texas A&M at Mississippi State, 6 o'clock p.m. On ESPN. Mississippi State's a 2-point favorite over number 16, Texas A&M.
Yeah, that line's been going back and forth. I looked it up. I don't know if you've looked it up lately. It's just back down to like 1.5.
1.5, yeah.
But
when I made the list, I made it last night, so it changes.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those games that's just fluctuated. But yeah, I don't understand it either. I think there's been a little too much going on with home field advantage this year. I haven't seen that much of it. Of course, I've been following. I follow Alabama, so we're beating people by 40 points, home, away. Neutral sites. In the Walmart parking lot. It don't matter. So. And I don't think it matters in this game, to tell you the truth. I'm going with A&M.
Yeah, just because State has a stout defense and they're playing at home, I don't think that changes a whole lot for them. What are they, 4-3 now?
Right.
They've got zero offense. The fans want they want the backup quarterback to play, Thompson. They want Nick Fitzgerald pulled because he can't throw the ball. They've got a lot of problems going on at Mississippi State. And for them to be favored in this game. And I'm going with the Aggies to take home the win as well. That's just a real head scratcher for me. I'm going the Aggies to take down the Bulldogs rather easily tomorrow, but we'll see. That's the beauty of watching the game.
Right.
But game 9, number 22 NC State off their brutal beatdown at the hands of Clemson last week at Syracuse, 6 p.m. on ESPN2. And I want to go ahead and apologize. I put the line on the wrong team when I sent you the list. It's actually NC State is -2 on the road. NC State's a 2-point favorite.
Well, I'm looking at this game. I don't know. I think, you look at that Clemson situation. It's kind of like Alabama. They're so much higher up and in a different league than
what they're playing against.
State. So I'm going to go with NC State. I think they'll redeem themselves from last week and beat Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse, they are quietly 5-2 right now. It's surprising that they're 5-2, and to be honest, they should have beat Clemson again. But the way NC State played last week was just awful. They go on the road again to another place that people have struggled to play. Ask Clemson. And I'm going with the Orange. I'm going with Syracuse to spring the very mild upset at home. NC State's 5-1, Syracuse 5-2. We may see Syracuse jump in the rankings next week. Who knows? But I'm going with Syracuse to beat the Wolfpack. Wolfpack on the slide, and I think it continues after their brutal game they played last week against Clemson. Give me the orange. Last game, another one with the lines that are kind of confusing. Game 10 of 10 on the list here. You got number 6 Texas at Oklahoma State, 7 p.m. on ABC. Texas is a 3.5-point favorite, minus 3.5 on the road in Stillwater.
I've liked what Texas has done this year, and I think they'll continue on. And this may be a good game. I don't know that 3.5 is enough. I can see Texas winning this game, maybe by 2 touchdowns.
I mean, what Texas Tech went into Oklahoma State and did, they beat them 41-17. So,
right.
Texas could very well do that. Texas could very well lay an egg. We've seen them do that before too. So, but I'm with you. I'm going Longhorns there. I don't think they struggle too hard to beat the Cowboys. But I'm Longhorns with you there. That was all 10 games that we had on the list to pick for this week. Sorry that I don't have David on the screen again. We had some technical difficulties, so I'm recording this. But that was all the games that we had for this week. Go ahead and let us know down in the comments what you're looking for out of the games, who you want to see play, what you expect from some teams, those kind of things. But if you did enjoy, go ahead and leave a thumbs up, share the content, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and many more. But this has been Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and for David Mize, we'll see you guys next week.